The deep darkness of space stretched endlessly, a silent sea of stars. The alien ship, Xiphora, floated helplessly, its hull scarred by the violent meteor storm it had just survived. Inside, the crew moved cautiously, checking consoles and monitoring. Failing systems. Their engines were damaged beyond immediate repair, and the life support systems were only working at half capacity. Panic stirred among them, though they tried to hide it. Pride and discipline had always been their way. But now, trapped in the middle of an unknown galaxy, fear was hard to ignore. Commander Rin, the ship's leader, stood at the main console, fingers flying across the controls. His antennae twitched, with tension. "Status report," he barked, though his voice was calm enough to hide the worry. Lieutenant Virek stepped forward, his multi-eyed gaze scanning the readings. "Engines are offline. Power reserves will last 3 standard cycles. Radiation levels are rising near the star cluster. Life support is stable for now, but we cannot last long without help." Rin's jaw tightened. Help. That was the problem. They were far from their home system, and the nearest Allied fleet was light years away. Traditional communication methods had little hope of reaching anyone in time. The ship's AI, a sophisticated entity named Quorath, beeped insistently. "Commander?" Quorath's voice was calm, almost soothing. "I recommend sending a distress signal. Perhaps another species may detect it." Rin hesitated. Sending a signal into the vast emptiness was risky. Unknown civilizations might respond, or they might ignore them, and there was always the chance of attracting dangerous attention. But the crew had no choice. Their lives depended on it. "Do it," Rin said finally. "Open the frequency. Send the signal with all encryption removed. Let any civilization hear our call." Quorath's interface shimmered. "Signal prepared. Broadcasting now." The Xiphora's distress signal shot out into space, a beacon of desperation and hope. It was designed to communicate their exact position, the nature of their emergency, and a request for immediate assistance. But, as the signal raced through the silent void, the crew waited anxiously. Minutes stretched into hours. Hours became cycles. And still, there was no reply. In the control room, Virek finally whispered, "Maybe no one will respond. Perhaps we are alone in this sector." Rin's eyes narrowed, his gaze fixed on the flickering stars. "Humans may respond," he muttered. The crew turned, confused. "Humans?" Virek asked. "You mean the primitive species from Sector Gamma? They are barely capable of interstellar travel." Rin nodded slowly. "Yes, but they are unpredictable. They act with intuition and courage. Unlike other species, they have solved impossible problems with limited resources. If anyone might respond, it could be them." Virek frowned. "Are you suggesting we gamble on humans?" Rin shrugged. "We have no choice." Back aboard the human ship Aurora, Commander Alex Reyes was adjusting the navigation charts when his console beeped. The ship's AI, Lyra, detected an unusual signal, strong but irregular, coming from an uncharted sector. Reyes leaned closer, curiosity flashing in his eyes. "Lyra, analyze that signal," he said. "Analyzing now, Commander," Lyra responded. "It appears to be a distress call, possibly from an unknown intelligent species. Signal contains advanced technology markers, not human origin." Reyes' brow furrowed. "Unknown species, deep space, distress call. Sounds like someone is in serious trouble. Plot a course. We're going to investigate." The human crew was small but skilled. Each member knew the risks, but they trusted Reyes's judgment. The human approach to danger was simple: face it, adapt, and find a solution. It was what made humans different from other civilizations, and sometimes it was what saved them and others. Meanwhile, on the Xiphora, the crew waited anxiously. Days passed with no response. They double-checked every system, tried to stabilize their engines, and rationed their limited supplies. The crew began to feel the weight of isolation. Commander Rin paced the control room, muttering calculations under his breath, while Lieutenant Virek scanned the horizon of distant stars, hoping for a flicker, a sign, anything. Then, without warning, a flicker of light appeared in the distance, an approaching ship. It was unlike anything the aliens had seen. Sleek, fast, and human-made. The humans had responded. Rin and the crew watched in awe as the human ship approached carefully, its hull reflecting the pale light of a distant star. Rin's antennae twitched, nervously. "Prepare for contact," he ordered. "Show no aggression. Display only cooperation." On the Aurora, Reyes signaled with a standard greeting protocol. "This is Commander Alex Reyes of the human ship Aurora. We have detected your distress call. Identify yourselves and your needs." Rin's eyes widened at the clarity and simplicity of the message. There was no arrogance, no hesitation. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but they were also direct, brave, and willing to act. "Commander Rin of the Zephora," he replied cautiously. "Our vessel is damaged. We are stranded. Our engines are offline. Assistance is requested immediately." Reyes nodded. "Understood. We will assist you. Prepare for docking protocols." The aliens were astonished. No hesitation. No complex negotiations. Humans acted. This simple, instinctive courage, this willingness to help without waiting for personal gain, was something the aliens had not seen before. As the Aurora drew closer, the alien crew began to prepare. Docking clamps were extended, shields reinforced, and environmental sensors activated. They watched the humans carefully, noting their every movement, their every decision. Even in this moment of desperation, they could not help but admire the human determination. Commander Rin finally spoke to his crew, his voice filled with quiet pride. "Observe carefully, learn. Humans may be primitive, but their spirit, it, is remarkable. Perhaps this is why they survive where others fail." And so the first contact was made, not with fear, not with aggression, but with cooperation and hope. In the endless, silent void of space, a fragile thread of trust had been woven between two very different species. The Zephora was damaged, the crew weary and the future uncertain. But now, for the first time in many cycles, there was hope. Humans had responded. And in the cold emptiness of space, hope was the most powerful force of all. The human ship, Aurora, hovered gently near the alien vessel Zephora. Its smooth, metallic surface gleamed under the faint light of distant stars. Commander Alex Reyes watched closely from the bridge, studying every movement of the alien crew. They were tense, alert, and cautious, but alive. That was the first and most important victory. "Lyra," Reyes said, leaning over the console, "prepare docking protocols. Keep shields active but non-aggressive. We don't want to intimidate them." "Understood, Commander," the AI responded. "Docking sequence ready. Approach vectors calculated. Risk minimized." On the Zephora, Commander Rin felt a mixture of relief and nervousness. His species prided itself on logic and precision, yet humans operated differently. They relied on intuition, improvisation, and courage. Rin's antennae twitched with curiosity. Could he trust them? Could anyone in this unknown sector be trusted? "Prepare for docking," Rin ordered. "Ensure life support is fully functional. We may need to allow boarding." Lieutenant Virek hesitated. "Do we allow them inside, Commander? We barely know them. They could be dangerous." Rin's gaze was steady. "We have no choice. Help is help. Observe them. Learn. Humans are not predictable, but perhaps their strength lies in their unpredictability." The Aurora moved closer, its docking arms extending smoothly. Commander Reyes gave the signal. "We are ready to assist. No weapons will be deployed. We seek cooperation, not conflict. The aliens observed the process with silent fascination. The humans' calm approach, their careful movements, and their clear communication impressed them. Unlike most species the aliens had encountered, humans did not rely on overwhelming technology or intimidation. They relied on intelligence, courage, and creativity. Finally, the docking clamps of the two ships connected with a soft metallic click. The hum of energy resonated through the corridors. Rin and Virek exchanged a glance. "Open the airlock," Rin instructed. "Let them board. Observe their behavior closely." Moments later, a human officer entered the Scifi. She moved confidently but gently, her eyes scanning the damaged systems. "Greetings," she said in the Universal Translation Protocol. "We are here to help. Please guide us to the areas that need immediate attention." The aliens stiffened, at first, but Rin gestured for them to follow. "This way. The engine core is our priority. We cannot remain here for long." As the humans moved through the corridors, their crew took notes, scanned systems, and began offering suggestions. Reyes followed closely, observing every interaction. His approach was simple: understand, adapt, and act. He did not underestimate the aliens' intelligence, but he trusted in human ingenuity and the ability to solve problems quickly. In the engine room, the aliens showed the damage. Panels were scorched, conduits broken, and coolant leaking into the corridors. Lieutenant Virek muttered technical details in their complex language, while Reyes nodded thoughtfully. "We can stabilize the coolant system temporarily," Reyes said. "It won't be perfect, but it will give you time to repair the core fully. We just need access to your auxiliary power systems." Virek looked skeptical. "You can do this? With so little knowledge of our systems?" Reyes smiled faintly. "We can try. Humans are good at solving problems with limited information." It took hours of careful work. Human engineers crawled into the tight spaces of the alien vessel, guided by the aliens' expertise. Sparks flew, hoses were rerouted, and coolant flow gradually stabilized. Each small success built trust between the species. The aliens, who had initially doubted humans, began to appreciate their determination and patience. During a brief break, Rin approached Commander Reyes. "Your methods, they are unusual. You do not rely solely on technology. You rely on intuition and courage." "It is impressive," Reyes nodded. "Humans have learned that thinking fast and adapting often matters more than having the most advanced tools. It has kept us alive in countless situations." Rin's antennae twitched thoughtfully. "Perhaps this is why humans survive where others fail. You are unpredictable, yet capable of great precision." Back in the main corridor, the human and alien crews shared a moment of quiet camaraderie. They communicated carefully, learning each other's gestures, habits, and ways of thinking. Simple exchanges, sharing water, adjusting clothing for comfort in zero gravity, and explaining procedural differences helped break the tension. Small gestures created trust. Hours later, a sudden alarm echoed through the ship. The cooling system stabilized, but the engine core still faced a critical failure. Radiation readings spiked, forcing everyone to step back. Rin's eyes narrowed. "This is worse than expected. We need a new plan." Reyes quickly assessed the situation. "If we reroute auxiliary power directly through the secondary conduits, we can bypass the damaged sections. It's risky, but it may stabilize the core until full repairs are possible." Virek hesitated. "It could cause a larger system overload. Are you certain?" Reyes's calm gaze met his. "I'm certain we can do it together. Humans don't give up in impossible situations. And right now, giving up is not an option." The aliens exchanged uncertain glances but nodded. They had seen enough to trust the humans' courage and judgment. Together, human and alien crews worked tirelessly, combining knowledge, creativity, and determination. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and sweat, or the alien equivalent, dropped from tired brows. Finally, the core stabilized. Radiation levels returned to safe limits. The ship hummed steadily, as though sighing in relief. Rin allowed himself a small smile. "You have done well. Humans, you are capable beyond our initial understanding." Reyes shrugged modestly. "We just do what needs to be done. We survive, we adapt, and we help others when we can." For the first time in many cycles, the alien crew felt hope. The humans had not only responded, they had acted. They had risked themselves to save lives they barely understood. In that moment, trust was no longer a concept. It was real. As the crews prepared to rest and reassess their next steps, Rin looked out of the observation window. The stars were still distant, the void still silent, but now it did not feel empty. Humans had arrived, humans had responded, and in their courage and ingenuity, the alien crew glimpsed the extraordinary potential of this unpredictable species. Hope had returned to the Xiphora. The Xiphora hummed steadily after the human-assisted repairs, but its systems were far from fully functional. Commander Rin walked the corridors with a sense of cautious optimism. The aliens had faced many challenges before, but working alongside. Humans was unlike anything they had experienced. These unpredictable beings combined courage, ingenuity, and determination in ways the aliens could not fully predict. "Commander," Lieutenant Virek said as he joined Rin, "we are fortunate they responded. Few species would act so quickly in our situation." Rin nodded. "Yes, but do not forget, while their courage is admirable, humans are different from us in every way. We must continue to observe, learn, and adapt. Cooperation is necessary, but it is also a lesson." In the engine room, the humans and aliens worked side by side. Sparks flew as human engineers rewired circuits, rerouted power conduits, and stabilized damaged systems. The aliens offered guidance, explaining complex procedures and safety protocols. Occasionally, misunderstandings arose, gestures misread, instructions misinterpreted, but these moments only strengthened the cooperation. Each correction became a chance to learn, a chance to build trust. One human, Lieutenant Mara, crouched near the coolant junction, frowning at the alien schematics. "I think if we reroute these two conduits here, it could reduce the strain on the core, but I need your confirmation." An alien engineer with 4 hands adjusted the schematic. "Your idea is unconventional, but it may work. Proceed carefully." The coolant conduits hissed as the new connections were sealed. For a moment, alarms blared, then stopped. Both crews watched, tense. Slowly, the core stabilized, radiating a steady energy signature. A cheer, or the alien equivalent, filled the room. Commander Reyes observed quietly, letting the teams work without interference. He preferred to guide rather than command, allowing the aliens to retain agency while humans offered their ingenuity. "Remember," he said softly to Rin, "we are here to help, but also to learn from each other. Cooperation is more than fixing systems. It is about understanding how we can combine strengths." Rin tilted his head. "Your philosophy is unusual, but effective. Humans thrive under pressure, and they encourage others to rise to the occasion." Outside the engine room, the ship's corridors echoed with the sounds of teamwork. Humans shared tools, passed components, and offered advice. Aliens observed, initially hesitant, then gradually accepting guidance. The barriers of language, physiology, and culture began to fade under the weight of shared purpose. At one point, a critical panel near the warp core overheated, sparking small fires. Human crew members rushed forward with containment gear. while the aliens monitored the system, ready to intervene. Lieutenant Mara calmly directed the humans, while an alien engineer operated the stabilizers. Within minutes, the fire was extinguished, and the core resumed normal function. Rin could not help but feel a sense of admiration. These humans, he realized, were not the strongest in terms of raw power, nor the most technologically advanced. Yet they possessed a resilience and creativity that allowed them to succeed where other species might fail. Later, the two commanders met in a quieter section of the ship. "Commander Reyes," Rin said, "your crew's methods are remarkable. They combine adaptability, quick thinking, and courage in ways our species rarely achieves. I am beginning to understand why you responded so effectively." Reyes nodded, leaning against a console. "Humans have survived against impossible odds for generations. We adapt, improvise, and work together. Technology helps, but our greatest strength is our spirit." Rin's antenna twitched thoughtfully. Spirit. Perhaps that is the key. You act without complete knowledge, yet you find solutions. You risk yourselves for others, and you inspire trust. This is not something we fully understand, but it is powerful. Meanwhile, back in the engine room, the combined crews continued their work. The human engineers suggested small innovations, temporary energy buffers, simplified diagnostic tools, and new ways to stabilize radiation flows. The aliens observed, initially skeptical, but as each idea succeeded, their confidence in human problem-solving grew. One of the younger alien crew members, Vika, approached Lieutenant Mara. "Your methods are unusual, yet effective. How do you think of solutions so quickly?" Mara smiled. "We have to. If we wait for perfect knowledge, we fail. We try, we adjust, we learn. That's how humans survive in difficult situations." Vika tilted her head. "It is inspiring. Perhaps we have been too rigid in our own procedures." By the end of the work cycle, the Zephora's systems were partially restored. Life support operated near full capacity, radiation levels were under control, and the engines were functional enough for limited movement. The humans had not only repaired the ship, they had transformed the crew's approach to problem-solving. In Sa, the ship's common area, both crews gathered briefly to rest. Humans shared simple stories about Earth, their cultures, and their history of exploration. Aliens, in turn, explained the purpose of their mission, their home planet, and their scientific goals. Laughter, curiosity, and admiration filled the room. It was a moment of connection, a pause from the constant tension of survival. Commander Rin observed quietly, his antennae moving in subtle appreciation. "These humans," he murmured, "they are not perfect, yet they are extraordinary. Their courage, their creativity, it is something our species could learn from." Reyes, noticing Rin's reflection, offered a smile. "We all have strengths. You have knowledge, discipline, and focus. We have intuition, improvisation, and determination. Together, we can achieve more than either of us alone." The alien crew, once isolated and fearful, now felt hope. Humans had entered their lives. At the moment of greatest need, not with demands or arrogance, but with willingness to help and the ability to act under pressure. Trust was forming, slowly but surely, and with it, a new understanding of what it meant to work together. As the two crews prepared to tackle the next phase, fully repairing the engines and navigating the dangerous space around them, Commander Rin knew one truth. Humans were unlike any species he had encountered. Their spirit, courage, and resourcefulness were their greatest tools. In a galaxy filled with unknown dangers, such traits could turn desperation into survival. The Zephora hummed steadily once more, a testament to cooperation, courage, and the unlikely bond forming between two very different species. In that vast, silent galaxy, hope had returned, and this hope, fueled by human ingenuity and compassion, would carry them forward into the unknown. The Zephora's engines hummed steadily now, thanks to the tireless work of the human and alien crews. Life support was fully operational, and radiation levels were stable. For the first time in many cycles, Commander Rin allowed himself a brief moment of calm. But deep space was never truly calm. Lieutenant Virek hovered over the sensor console, scanning the surrounding sectors. "Commander, unusual readings detected. A large asteroid cluster is approaching our trajectory. Velocity is higher than predicted." Rin's antennae twitched sharply. "How long until impact?" Virek's multi-eyed gaze darted between the data streams. "Approximately 5 cycles. Impact would likely destroy both vessels if we remain on course." The room fell silent. Commander Reyes, standing nearby, assessed the situation quickly. "We don't have much time. We need to come up with a maneuver to guide both ships safely through this cluster." Rin studied the readings. "Our systems are repaired, but not fully optimized. We cannot rely solely on engines. This requires improvisation." Reyes nodded. "Then we improvise. Humans don't always follow the standard path. We act, adapt, and trust our skills. That's how we survive unexpected danger." The alien crew looked skeptical. "Improvisation is risky," Virek warned. "It could damage the engines again or worse, cause a catastrophic failure." Reyes met his gaze steadily. "Risk is part of survival. We don't have a choice. Either we act or we are destroyed." Rin hesitated, then gave the order. "Prepare for the maneuver. We follow your plan, human." In the command center of the Aurora, Reyes outlined the strategy. "We'll take the lead, drawing the asteroid cluster along a calculated path. The Xiphora will follow, keeping engines at steady output. Small course adjustments every few seconds will prevent collisions." "Are you certain?" Rin asked. "Even minor miscalculations could mean destruction." Reyes' expression was calm. "We won't be perfect, but together we can succeed. We trust each other, and that is our advantage." The human engineers coordinated with the alien crew, monitoring engines, stabilizers, and shields. Each vessel relied on the other, a delicate balance of speed, distance, and timing. Outside, the first asteroids appeared as dark silhouettes against distant stars. They moved faster than expected, their jagged surfaces reflecting faint starlight. The tension on both ships was palpable. Crew members held their breath, eyes fixed on the monitors and viewports. "Steady," Reyes called. "Adjust thrusters slightly port side. Xiphora, mirror our movements." The aliens responded, their movements precise but cautious. It was an unusual situation for them, one that demanded trust, intuition, and split-second decisions. Humans thrived in such chaos. The aliens observed, learning as much as they acted. A larger asteroid appeared ahead, its trajectory directly in the path of the ships. "Brace for maneuver!" Reyes shouted. The Aurora fired thrusters in a swift, calculated burst, veering slightly to the right. The asteroid grazed past, missing the hull by meters. The Xiphora followed, responding to human signals with surprising accuracy. Its engines strained, but the temporary repairs held. "Impressive," Rin muttered under his breath. "Humans anticipate movement we cannot calculate. Their instincts are extraordinary." Suddenly, a series of smaller asteroids surged from an unexpected angle. The sensors lit up with warnings. "We have incoming," Virek shouted. Reyes acted without hesitation. "Full lateral thrust, shields up. Xiphora, mirror immediately." The ships weaved through the cluster, engines roaring, shields glowing faintly from the strain. Sparks and debris flew past and alarms blared. The alien crew, tense but trusting, followed every human instruction. They could not fully understand the human intuition, but they trusted it, for the humans had saved them before and now were leading them through almost certain death. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Each decision was critical. One misstep could destroy both vessels. And yet, the combined crews worked in perfect, if uneasy, harmony. Finally, the densest part of the cluster passed. The ships emerged into open space, engines trembling, shields at full capacity but intact. Silence filled the command centers, broken only by the slow hum of stabilized systems. Rin allowed himself a deep breath, antennae relaxing slightly. We survived, against impossible odds. Reyes smiled faintly. We survived because we acted together. Humans alone might have done it. Your crew alone might have failed. Together, we succeeded. Virek's eyes, usually sharp with calculation, reflected awe. Your species, it is unlike any other. You act with courage, trust, and adaptability. It is remarkable. Reyes shrugged modestly. We do what is necessary. That's how humans survive. In the aftermath, both crews assessed the damage. Minor hull breaches, overheated conduits, and strained engines were the only signs of the harrowing journey. The experience, however, left an impression far deeper than any physical damage could. Trust between humans and aliens had grown stronger. Respect had been earned, not demanded. Commander Rin gathered his crew. Observe carefully. Humans have faced a threat no other species in this sector would have survived. Their courage, decision-making, and trust in each other and in us, it is exceptional. We must learn from this. Reyes, standing nearby, nodded. We all have strengths. You have knowledge, discipline, and focus. Humans have intuition, improvisation, and determination. Together, we overcome obstacles that neither could alone. That night, in the artificial gravity chambers, the alien crew rested with cautious optimism. They had witnessed something rare, a species acting selflessly, courageously, and effectively in the face of deadly danger. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but their unpredictability carried strength, creativity, and hope. Commander Rin stood by the observation window, looking at the stars stretching endlessly around them. Perhaps the galaxy needs more of this spirit, he whispered. Courage not bound by protocol, adaptability not limited by procedure. Humans are extraordinary. Reyes, leaning on the rail beside him, simply said, We do what we can. And when we help others, we make the universe a little safer, for everyone. The Xiphora and the Aurora floated together in the quiet of space, recovering from the threat but strengthened by it. For the alien crew, the lesson was clear. Survival depended not only on knowledge and technology, but also on courage, adaptability, and the willingness to trust. And for humans, the lesson was simple. In the darkest corners of the galaxy, helping others is never wasted effort. In the endless void of stars, hope had not only returned, it had grown stronger. After navigating the asteroid cluster, the human and alien crews took a brief moment to rest. The tension that had gripped everyone for cycles began to ease, replaced by a cautious optimism. Commander Rin observed the humans quietly, noting their calm composure, their careful attention to details, and most of all, their willingness to act without hesitation in dangerous situations. They are different, Rin admitted to Lieutenant Virek. Not the strongest, not the most advanced, but their spirit, it is extraordinary. Virek nodded slowly. I can see that now. They act without fear and yet with careful thought. It is admirable. Meanwhile, Commander Reyes called his crew together for a debrief. We survived the cluster thanks to cooperation. But this is only the beginning. The Xiphora still needs full engine repairs, and we are not out of danger yet. That said, today, we've learned something important. We can work together and overcome challenges that seem impossible. The alien crew began to see humans not just as helpers, but as partners. Small acts of camaraderie started to build trust. In the ship's Shared common area, humans offered simple meals, nutritious rations adapted for zero gravity. Aliens, curious about Earth foods, sampled the offerings, expressing surprise at flavors they had never encountered. Vika, one of the younger alien engineers, approached Lieutenant Mara. "Your species enjoys sharing even when resources are limited. Why do you do this?" Mara smiled. "We've learned that helping each other makes everyone stronger. It's not about sacrifice, it's about trust. We survive better when we work together." Vika tilted her head thoughtfully. Trust. That is something we do not practice often. Perhaps we should. In the engine room, the work continued. The humans and aliens moved together with increasing coordination. Alien engineers provided technical details about systems humans could not fully understand, while humans suggested innovative solutions using their intuition and improvisation. The combination of knowledge and creativity was powerful. Commander. Rin watched as human and alien engineers rerouted power conduits to fully stabilize the engines. "Your methods. They are effective," he said quietly to Reyes. "Unpredictable yet precise. I did not think humans could achieve this under pressure." Reyes shrugged modestly. "We do what we must. That's how humans survive." Hours later, the engines roared to life. The hum of the Zephora's systems filled the corridors, steady and strong. Cheers erupted from both crews, a rare display of emotion from the normally reserved aliens. It was a victory earned through collaboration, patience, and courage. With the immediate danger behind them, conversations turned to culture and history. Humans shared stories about Earth, about exploration, courage, and the many challenges their species had faced. The aliens, in turn, explained the purpose of their mission, their scientific goals, and the structure of their society. Though the language barrier required careful translation, the exchanges were rich and enlightening. Rin listened to a human tale of explorers who survived impossible conditions on a distant planet. "You place great value on stories," he remarked. "It is unusual, but I see now that it teaches lessons and builds connection." Reyes nodded. "Stories remind us why we act and what we fight for. They inspire courage and trust." During a quiet period, Rin found himself walking the corridors with Reyes. "I am beginning to understand," Rin said slowly. "Humans act not only with skill but with heart. Your courage, your willingness to risk yourselves for others. It is inspiring." Reyes smiled. "We all have strengths. Humans have intuition and determination. You have knowledge and precision. Together, we are stronger than either alone." Elsewhere, Virek and a human engineer, Lieutenant Juno, examined the ship's shield systems. "Your shield design is elegant," Juno said. "It could benefit from some flexibility in overload conditions. Let me show you a method we use." Virek observed carefully. "Your methods are unconventional, but I see the logic. It could improve our efficiency." In moments like these, trust grew naturally. The alien crew learned that humans were not reckless. They were bold, creative, and careful in their own way. Humans learned the value of patience, precision, and detailed analysis from the aliens. At the end of the work cycle, both crews gathered in the observation deck. Stars stretched endlessly around them, the galaxy a silent, sparkling expanse. The alien crew reflected on how far they had come. From despair to survival, from mistrust to cooperation, they had witnessed human courage firsthand. Rin spoke softly, almost to himself. "Perhaps this is what other species fail to understand. Strength is not only in technology or numbers, it is in the spirit. It is in the courage to act when the outcome is uncertain. Humans, you embody this fully." Reyes placed a hand on the railing beside him. "We act because it is right, because it matters. That's all. The universe is vast and dangerous. Helping others is the way we survive and grow stronger. The alien crew nodded. They had learned a lesson that could not be taught in lectures or simulations. They had learned from action, from courage, and from the willingness of humans to step forward when others would not. As the two crews prepared for the next phase of their journey, returning the Zephora to safe space, the bond between humans and aliens had solidified. Trust had replaced doubt, respect had replaced suspicion, and hope had replaced fear. In the quiet of the observation deck, Commander Rin allowed himself a rare smile. Humans are unpredictable, yes, but unpredictability can be strength, courage, intelligence, and compassion. These are your weapons, Reyes nodded. And when we combine those qualities with your knowledge and skill, nothing is impossible. The stars outside continued their silent dance, endless and bright. The Zephora and the Aurora floated together in the void, a symbol of cooperation and hope. Both species had learned that survival was more than technology and strategy. It was courage, trust, and the willingness to act for the good of others. For the aliens, humans were no longer unknown strangers. They were allies, mentors, and examples of what it meant to rise above fear and despair. For the humans, the experience reinforced their belief that even in the vast, lonely galaxy, selflessness, courage, and ingenuity could change the course of events. And so, as the ships drifted quietly, repairing systems, sharing stories, and strengthening bonds, both crews realized that this partnership, this unexpected alliance, was something rare and valuable. A bridge between species built on trust, courage, and the unshakable will to survive together. Hope, forged in the fires of danger and strengthened by collaboration, burned brighter than ever in the hearts of both humans and aliens. The Zephora and the human ship. Aurora floated side by side in the calm of space. The repairs were complete, and the danger of the asteroid cluster was behind them. Yet the two crews knew that this moment was more than just survival. It was a turning point. The alien crew had learned to trust humans, and humans had proven their courage, ingenuity, and compassion. Commander Rin moved through the corridors, observing his crew. Each alien member carried a new sense of confidence, a Bai-Doi spark of hope that had been missing since the meteor storm. For many, the experience with humans had changed their understanding of strength. It was not only technology, knowledge, or discipline. It was spirit, courage, and willingness to act for others. Commander, Lieutenant Virek said, "We have stabilized all systems, engines, shields, life support. Everything is fully functional. Thanks to your crew and theirs, we can now continue our mission." Rin nodded, antennae twitching thoughtfully. "Yes, but more than repairs we have learned, there is much humans can teach us. Their courage, adaptability, and determination. It is extraordinary. Perhaps we should consider alliances with more of their species." Reyes, standing nearby, smiled. "We humans are always ready to cooperate. We may be far from perfect, but when it matters, we act. Helping others is not a choice for us. It is who we are." Virek studied Reyes carefully. "Your species, it is unlike any we have encountered. You act with bravery, yet with intelligence. You risk yourselves to save others. It is remarkable." Reyes shrugged modestly. "We all survive best when we help each other. That is how humans thrive. That is how life thrives." The alien crew began preparing to resume their journey home. Their mission was scientific, but now it carried a new purpose. The lessons learned from humans had opened a door to future collaboration, not only between individuals, but potentially between entire civilizations. Commander Rin approached Reyes. "Before we depart, there is something we must offer. In recognition of your aid and of the trust we have formed, We wish to share knowledge that may benefit your species. Advanced technology, star maps, and insights into navigation of deep space. Consider it a gesture of goodwill and gratitude. Reyes felt a surge of pride, tempered by humility. We do not ask for reward. Your trust and cooperation are reward. Enough. But your offer is generous, and we will honor it carefully. In the observation deck, both crews gathered for a final moment together. The stars stretched endlessly around them, silent witnesses to a bond forged through danger, courage, and collaboration. Human and alien alike reflected on the journey that had brought them here. Vika, the young alien engineer, approached Lieutenant Mara. "Your species, it is truly extraordinary. You risked yourselves to help us, strangers in need. We have much to learn from your example." Mara smiled warmly. "We learn too. From your knowledge, your precision, and your care. Together we can do more than either species could alone." Commander Rin turned to Reyes one last time. "Your species' spirit. It may be the key to survival in this galaxy. If humans act with this courage, wisdom, and willingness to help others, there is hope even in the darkest regions of space." Reyes nodded. "Humans are not perfect, but we try, and when we act for the good of others, we make a difference. That difference matters, sometimes more than we know." The alien crew prepared to depart, engines powering up, shields engaging. The Aurora adjusted its position to give the Xiphora a clear path. There was no need for fanfare. The bond between the crews was already clear. Mutual respect, trust, and admiration spoke louder than words. As the two ships separated, Rin issued final instructions to his crew. "Continue your mission, but remember what we have learned. Courage, trust, and cooperation can overcome what knowledge alone cannot. Humans have shown us that. Never forget it." Reyes watched the Xiphora move away, feeling a quiet sense of accomplishment. "We did what we could, and in doing so, we've made the galaxy a little safer for others." Virek, observing from the alien ship, added quietly, "Perhaps this is the beginning of something greater. An alliance, a chance to build understanding between species that may have never interacted. Humans are exceptional." The Xiphora disappeared into the distance, stars reflecting on its polished hull. The human crew aboard the Aurora felt a sense of pride, not from victory over a threat, but from courage, empathy, and cooperation. They had acted without hesitation, saved lives, and shown the galaxy the best of humanity. Commander Rin looked back at the human ship one last time, antennae lifting in what could almost be considered a gesture of respect. "May your species continue to act with courage. May the lessons learned today guide us all in the future." Reyes turned to his crew, smiling. "This is why we explore, why we act, and why we help. Because every time we do, we create hope. Hope for ourselves, and hope for others." In the silent void, two very different species had proven that cooperation, trust, and courage could bridge even the greatest divides. The humans had demonstrated that ingenuity, determination, and compassion were not weaknesses, but the greatest strengths in the universe. And as the stars stretched endlessly around them, Commander Reyes knew that this encounter was only the beginning. Humanity had shown that when faced with unknown dangers, they would act, not out of fear, but out of courage, empathy, and the belief that helping others was the noblest path. For the alien crew, humans were no longer strangers. They were partners, examples of bravery, and a living reminder that even in the vast emptiness of space, hope, trust, and courage could light the way. As the two ships continued their journeys, each return to their missions changed. Lessons learned, bonds forged, and trust built across species lines would echo through the galaxy. Humanity had shown the power of spirit, and the aliens had learned that the heart and courage of one species could alter the fate of many. In the end, the galaxy was not just a place of stars and darkness. It was a place where courage, cooperation, and compassion could thrive. And in that realization, hope would always endure. The Aurora and the Zephora, now distant from one another, carried more than technology and data. They carried understanding, respect, and the promise of a new alliance. The human spirit had left, a mark that would not be forgotten, a reminder that in the vast expanse of space, humanity was a force for hope.